Hi, I'm Andy Jenkinson, Caravan Industry Expert. Welcome to my channel. Oh hi, welcome to a new video. Now this video isn't going to be a test or review or anything like that. Again, it's just a basic catch up to keep in touch with my subscribers. Now one thing is for sure is there's going to be some new 2022 stuff coming. That's all been done, but I can't show it as yet because of embargoes by the manufacturers, so I'll wait in probably another week before we can do that. But I've not been idle. I'm doing more book work, and at the moment on a real tight deadline. It's going to be done by the end of next week. So that is at the moment. It's what I'm doing. I'm in the archives here, searching for stuff. Bit of a needle in a haystack at times because I've just really let the archives go a bit to seed, really, because as I pull stuff out and I don't put it back in again, I don't put it where it should go. I know I've got stuff, but sometimes, well, a lot of times, I just can't find it. Now, just very quickly, I don't know if anybody watched the Paul Mertons Motorhome programme. It's a series, I think, of 6 with his wife, Suki Webster. And I watch these. I mean, sometimes they do make me sort of cringe a bit. Having done all that sort of thing and learning many years ago in the late 90s with a Granada TV and doing a localised TV series, you learn a lot, and there's things you just would not do now, but you did them because you didn't know any better. But going back to Paul Merton, now I'm a big fan of Paul Merton. I think he's a very funny chap. I love his sense of humour. I love that type of humour. And they put him and his wife in a motorhome, which is an A-class. It's very smart. It's very expensive. Now, I watched that first programme. I don't know if anybody else did. I'd like to hear your comments on this. But they set them up on a Company Caravan Club site, which was a lovely site near Canterbury, I think it was. But they just sort of just left them with the keys. And they went to that motorhome not knowing anything at all, how to turn the lights on, even anything. And I thought that was a little bit really not very good, because let's face it, we know if you buy a motorhome, especially from a dealer and even from a private sale, you know, the owner or the dealer will go and give you a proper run through how things work. And I thought that was a bit bad. Now, I suppose that wouldn't have made very good TV if they'd gone and everything had worked perfect and they knew what they were doing. You know, there's an element of, oops, we didn't know that. Like Suki said, she didn't know to expect an oven. Well, you know, ovens have been in caravans and motorhomes for many, 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 many years, as we know. So I was a little bit miffed about that. And to be quite honest, some of the roads they're going down with it and some of the tracks, you just would not do that with an A-class motorhome. To be quite honest, I think they'd been better off with a more compact coach-built motorhome, maybe a 2-berth, or a one with a fixed bed, 4-berth, something from a mainstream UK manufacturer, not a foreign manufacturer like that one is from, a UK manufacturer. Something that's more affordable, sort of £45,000 mark, that way, not up in the heights, because it doesn't give a very good and how can I put, honest opinion of what motorhoming is about. Now, what I do enjoy is the fact that they're doing things and they're actually find out that this way of life is pretty good, and that is good. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Paul Merton actually did a TV programme. Now, I think it was about 12 years ago, maybe not as long as that, if memory serves. But he actually did various forms. I think he did that, that bit hotel, and he actually borrowed a caravan from Swift. I think actually went to Swift's factory and picked up a Challenger, and it was his first time towing, and it was his first time in a caravan. And so he's done that before on the likes of it. So I mean, obviously the guy wouldn't remember at all what to do, and things have changed, of course. But he had that sort of little bit of, can we say, breaking in period of at least towing a caravan and using it for, I think it was 24, 48 hours, I'm not sure. But I'd be interested to see what you think, and there's been a lot of things about caravanning and motorhoming, and there was a Radio 2 programme on the other day. I listened to Jeremy Vine. I think he's a great guy, and I listened to a lot of things. I've even been on that show a few times myself on phone-ins. Again, they were on about caravanning, and it was a little bit sort of damning. And personally, I don't think they spoke to really the right people about the pros of caravan. Really, I mean, they were caravanners, and they were very enthusiastic. But I think it might have been better if they'd have sort of got somebody from the trade, maybe. But anyway, I'm on book duties. It's a Sunday morning. I've been at this book now. This one I've been working on now for about 6 weeks. This is the story of the touring caravan. It's called 100 Years of Towing. And it's going to have, a bit of stuff about the caravans, some of the manufacturer's designs, but it's also going to have sort of photographs of where people were caravanning from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right up really to the present day. And also I've got some lovely personal memories in there from people who have sent me a photograph and a bit of memory of how they used to go caravanning back in the day with their parents or something like that, and some of my own personal things in there, because I have had some great caravanning times with my parents, and I do look back at those days fondly. Now, unfortunately, due to work commitments and the pandemic financially impacting me in quite a big way, unfortunately, I'm having to do a lot of work. I'm having to try and make up time. So my caravan is sadly sat doing nothing. Now, the good thing is, of course, it's not sat outside on some storage compound covered in green mould and a tyre flat and that sort of thing. It's perfectly fine. It's undercover. I can literally go in there, put the charger on, give it a vac out, clean it, bring it out of its garage, give it a clean, put it straight back in again. Everything's working on it fine, but I just really need to get out of that caravan because I've missed it so much. So when I do, I'll do the odd video on that as well, because the van now is actually, it's about 13 years old. It's the longest I've ever had a caravan. I've never owned one that length of time. I've always sort of swapped them, really. Even my first new caravan was only 10 years old. So that's how things have gone on. But because it's just been like a good old comfy pair of slippers. It's a Bailey Ranger GT60 505. It's a double dinette layout, which sort of fell out of favour, but it's a great layout for me and my wife, because we can leave the back end up made as a bed, or we can put it back up as a dinette again if we have friends come and they can see, be sat down there, and that's great because that works really well. If my daughter decides to turn up again, she can use that as a bed. I tend to like to use the singles at the front because I work quite late, because when I'm in the caravan, again, unfortunately, at times I've got to work for deadlines, but I don't mind it. It's just the caravan makes me very, very lazy. I really can wind down and I love it. And if anybody is watching this video who is thinking about getting a caravan, what I do say is, you do not have to spend thousands upon thousands of pounds to get yourself a decent tourer. Prices have gone up, as I've said on some of the other videos, the state of the market, and there is a scarcity. I think next year there may be a few more tourers coming back on that forecourt. We shall have to see. But anyway, if you're looking for a tourer, don't have to spend a lot. As long as that caravan is sound, it's completely safe, it's checked over. It doesn't matter if it's 3 years old or 15, 16, 17 years old, because you can still get the same amount of enjoyment out of it, because that's what it's all about. Caravanning has become a bit more of a lifestyle. It's not the cheap holidays it was. That sort of started to finish really by the late 80s, when caravan prices were going up considerably. But it still has that freedom feeling about it. Oh, that was another thing, just going back to the Paul Mertons, about this wild camping thing. Now, we all know that this is something, we dream of, and when you read the books, and especially this new book I'm doing at the moment, you'll find out that a lot of people could just stop and go anywhere they wanted. Well, things have changed, of course, and there's now, of course, obviously a lot of caravan parks around. The nearest you'll get to that really is having a small CL site, which is a certificate location site with one of the clubs, the Caravan and Motorhome Club, or the Caravan and Camping Club. So consequently, there'll be a small site, then maybe just a tap on there and a place to empty your loo, should you desire it. But wild camping, as they call it, I personally wouldn't encourage that at all. And I think that is now slowly but surely being sort of stamped out a bit, really. Motorhomes tend to still do it. I was round Loch Lomond some years ago, and where people had been wild camping, and the amount of rubbish that was left by the lot in laybys was untrue. I think they've discouraged that a lot now. I'm not sure. I've not been around that area for a good few years now. But the days where you could just pull in, that's what I do with my parents, my mum and dad. We started Caravan in '69. My grandparents had caravanned in the late 50s up to the early 60s, but they'd always gone on sites. But my dad didn't. For the first few months of owning a caravan, we literally went into a lay-by. We would go down a little back road and we'd find a little side clearing, a bit like sort of caravanners did in the 30s and 1920s, and we would literally unhitch the caravan there, put the corner steadies down. We'd have a couple of water containers, and I think we just had a bucket for the loo. Our first caravan was a caravan called the Sovereign, and it didn't have a toilet compartment at all. And it everything ran off gas, so that was the lighting and also the cooker, of course, and the grill. It was 11 foot long. Me and my sister had the bunks at the front at the time. There was no toilet compartment, as I said, and had a dinette at the back, and that was a standard format. And we spent, I hate to say, we spent many happy weekends in little off the beaten track laybys. And do you know what? The thing is, now when I think about it, is you could actually leave that caravan there for the day with no hitch lock on, nothing like a wheel lock, there was nothing like that, and we'd go out and we'd come back and be nothing touched at all. It's quite incredible when you think about it. You couldn't really do that these days at all. You'd probably end up with the caravan being nicked within the first 20 minutes you're going down the road, if you're allowed to go stopping laybys overnight, etc. But we didn't. But my mum's deterrent, and she'd read this somewhere, I don't know where she'd read it, bless her, but she said, by leaving the table made up, so i.e. your cups and saucers and the plates there, on the table, it looked to the would-be thief that somebody was due back at any time, and it would deter them. Mum, if you're watching from up there or wherever, that wasn't going to work, and it certainly wouldn't work in 2021. Right, well, that's enough of me gabbing on. And again, thank you for all the subscribers, and everybody's still subscribing, and it's great. It's building up nicely. People coming on, more subscribers, and hopefully I will attract some advertisers to help pay for run this channel, because everything at the moment is done FOC, and I've got to fit it in around other things, and the sales. There's family life as well, which is obviously very important. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to get back on and start looking for some stuff that I've not got here somewhere, because I'm sort of like jumping the gun on my chapters. I'm sort of like in the 1930s, 40s, and I'm sort of 50s, 60s now, and I'm sort of, if I find something from the 50s, 60s, I'm sort of stopping, and then I just don't get back to what I'm supposed to be doing, and I lose track. But anyway, that's probably not very good, is it, really? But I've got a big, massive archive, as you can see. But just one last thing. I've got another book coming out called A Visual History of Touring Caravans. Now, I've just had a bit of a setback of that, because I've had a publisher come on, and we've got to reformat that book, which is really, really annoying, because I've done lots of work on it, and it means cutting back on the captions, etc., I mean, the book will be good when it's out. I'm sure it will, and I'm quite excited about it for next year. But it just means I've got to revisit that, and I tend to, when I've done a book, I tend to get on to my next project, because I've got 4 books coming out next year. So there's 4 new books, which will make my total of books published 17. So I'm hoping to get to the 20. I've got lots of more ideas, because when I'm looking for stuff, I come up and think, oh, that would make a good handle on a book maybe, or something like that. So I'm always thinking all the time. So consequently, doing my archive work is quite slow progress at times. Anyway, better get downstairs, because I've got the book, me laptop and my scanner set up in the conservatory. At least I can look out on nicely on the garden, and when the sun does eventually come out, just saves working in this environment where it's very compact and very closed. So anyway, I'll bid you farewell. Look out for the new videos, and thanks for keep watching. And I hope you still find this channel interesting. It's not like a lot of the other channels. My channel has a lot of variation, because this industry is quite spread, and I like looking back at time, because we can learn a lot from the heritage of caravan design, etc., motorhome design, and static caravan holiday design. A lot of things have come back round again. Right, well, I'm going to go, and again, thanks for watching. See you later.